Harris was put in charge, as you said earlier, of combating the roots of immigration. She was not and is not the border czar.
We have a Border Czar Denialist interviewing the Border Czar and her emotional support governor. Now, you know what another name for Border Czar Denialist is? That's what Dana Bash is. Another name for a Border Czar Denialist is Reality Denialist. I just, a little while ago, just to double check, I checked, I Googled from January 2021 to July 30th, 2021, I Googled Kamala Harris Border, and guess what? She absolutely was put in charge of the border situation. And later she said, "Oh no! I wasn't in charge of the border. I was in charge of the Northern Triangle." Wrong. It said you check it yourself. It said Mexico where that's where the border is, and the Northern Triangle, the three Central American countries where a lot of the illegals were coming from or through. So that is complete bogus. But this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, think about this. Would you have a person that's believes in just a flat, that the Earth is flat? Would you have them reporting on the NASA program? Of course not. A flat Earth person is a round world denialist, which is absolutely ridiculous. You wouldn't have that. And yet, we have a Border Czar Denialist. It's so absurd. Oh, and the other thing is they said, well, they never used the term Border Czar. Yeah, that was a colloquial term. We have that all the time. We have we've had, I think, an inflation czar before. We have a production czar, whatever. The term czar it's a colloquial term. It's like boss, No, his official title isn't "I'm the boss." He's like the company manager. It's a guy that can fire you. It is so ridiculous, this playing with semantics, and it's all a protection racket for poor little Kamala. Must be protected by her emotional support governor. And that's another first. I saw Jonathan Lemire on Morning Schmo yesterday saying, yeah, this happens, this is normal practice that the president and vice president are interviewed together. No, it's not. The candidates being interviewed together. No, it's not. It doesn't really, they appear together, but in interview, nah. So they're playing a protection racket game here. So, in a sane world, by the way, there wouldn't even, a Border Czar denialist would not be allowed anywhere near interviewing the Border Czar, or which. So in a real world, you know what happened if they found that clip that I showed you of Dana Bash denying that Kamala Harris was the Border Czar? In a real world, the president of CNN, or the boss, colloquially, would call her up to his office and says, Dana, we have a clip here of you denying that Kamala Harris was ever the Border Czar, so I'm sorry, you're done. Says, and Dana Bash would go, you mean I'm done? I can't interview Kamala? He says, no, I said you're done, like you're fired, which by the way is a colloquial for everybody out there. It's a colloquial term for being dismissed from your job. Ask for your resignation. It's the same thing as fired. Yeah, you wouldn't have somebody such a reality denialist being allowed to work at a major network like CNN, although CNN now isn't really that major. There's a lot of YouTubers that get more views than CNN does. But anyway, so that's the whole deal here. This is so ridiculous. Now, the big tell that CNN to look for. The big tell that CNN is hiding a disastrous interview with Kamala Harris is if they don't make the entire interview, everything unedited, available online for us to see with our naked eyes. So that's going to be interesting because you have to have your antennas up, like suspicion up, like it's pre-recorded. You can't do it live. It's unbelievable. So they absolutely are trying to protect Kamala Harris, and we're going to see what happens. But to me, the idea that you have a Border Czar Denialist interviewing the Border Czar, completely failed, by the way. Can you imagine if instead of Kamala Harris, they had appointed, which wouldn't have happened, but say like Vivek Ramaswamy, he'd be burning the phone lines. He'd be down at the border. They wouldn't ask, well, when is he going to visit the border? He's been there many times already. As soon as he's been appointed, I mean, he'd be there. He'd say, hey, I want this done like yesterday. Hey, Alejandro Mayorkas, you're not doing the job. Guess what? I'm recommending you be fired. So, she failed completely as the border czar, which they're denying. And by the way, Jonathan Karl of ABC is another border czar denialist. That's the reason. By the way, you never saw them denying that she was a border czar until just recently. It's because they suddenly realized, oops, this is really a bad look to be a complete, utter failure. And she didn't want the job. She hated it. She didn't want to talk about it. She pretended like, no, my job was just to look into the root causes of illegal border crossings. No, that your job wasn't just to be like a little, like up in some library somewhere. A librarian goes, hey, you're the vice president. What are you out here in the library all day? He says, no, I'm here researching the root causes of migration. Come on, please. This is so ridiculous. It's like a complete embarrassment. Just face the fact. I'm sorry, Dana Bash, Miss Border Czar Denialist, but she had the job to do, and obviously, utterly, completely failed. And I'm just wondering how you can even just question her about this, since you're saying, oh no, she was never the border czar. Yeah, right. Well, we'll see tonight.
Harris was put in charge, as you said earlier, of combating the roots of immigration. She was not and is not the border czar.
Subscribe to the Dummy Funnies now!